Hello fellow book lovers, my name is Gizelle and welcome to the Adventures of Giz. So it is almost a year since I started my booktube channel and I realized that I never got to do the newbie booktuber tag. The first video I ever uploaded onto YouTube, I just jumped into it. I used my cell phone. I had terrible audio. I did not know how to edit, and it was my Reading Rush TBR for 2019. I have taken that video down, but it is so bad. I very clearly remember telling myself I need to do the newbie booktuber tag and just telling myself that I'll do it when I'm ready. So on the 22nd of July 2020, it is my 1-year booktube anniversary, and I thought I would do the newbie booktuber tag. Even though I've been on here for a year, I still feel like a newbie. And I realized I never really introduced myself. I never gave anyone the opportunity to get to know me. The first question is, why did you start your booktube channel? I had been on Instagram for about a year when I started my booktube channel, and I did not know that this amazing book community was out there. As soon as I realized that Bookstagram was a thing, I immediately started my account. Those first pictures were terrible. Just before I started my Bookstagram, I was watching BookTube, and I just always was so scared to start it because I thought I didn't have an opinion. I read the same books as everyone else. It doesn't matter. I literally love most books I read. I don't really have negative opinions when it comes to books, so I thought no one would want to hear my opinion. I still don't know if anyone wants to hear my opinion about how much I love everything. I was about a year and a bit into having my Instagram account, and I just decided to jump into making my booktube channel, and the opportunity just came around when the Reading Rush was coming around. I'd never done it before. I just remember all the booktubers were posting their Reading Rush TBRs, and I decided to finally participate in, I think it was my first readathon ever, and I thought maybe, you know, let's just jump right in, make a video and see how it goes. So I made a very awful video. I'm so awkward. I don't know how to edit. It's just so cringy. I mean, I can't say I'm much better now. So looking back on the future, I'm just letting you know it was much worse than this. The second question is, what are some fun and unique things that you can bring to BookTube? Not many people know this about me. First of all, I am queer, and second of all, I'm South African. Okay, I'm sure you know I'm South African, but I don't think anyone know that I'm queer, and I think that that is not necessarily a unique perspective because we have a lot of queer booktubers, but at the same time every perspective is different, and I think each booktuber really brings something unique and different to BookTube. Even if they are reviewing the same books, everybody has their own opinions. Everybody just looks at the world differently, and I think being both South African and queer definitely brings a different perspective to the books I read. Also, I think I have a really funny sense of humor, but it's a very specific sense of humor, so I don't think most people think I'm funny, but I do. The next question is, what are you most excited for about this new channel? So like I said, my channel's not necessarily new. I still feel like such a newbie, and it has been so fun to grow, to get to know people. I'm super excited to just meet new booktubers, meet new people. Okay, the next question is, why do you love reading? This is much easier to explain when I start explaining which series got me into reading, and that is the next question. I very clearly remember my first experience falling in love with a book, and it was 2013. I was 16 years old. Before this, I had read a couple of books. So I'd read Twilight when I was 12. I'd read the first 2 books in the Fallen series. I'd read The Hunger Games, and I'd read a bunch of really bad and really good Wattpad books. So this wasn't my introduction into reading, but by that time I would still not have considered myself a reader. The other books that I read were all in passing. They were during holidays and when I was extremely bored. I wasn't a full-fledged lover of reading. And then 2013 came around. I very clearly remember the day because it was the day my mother passed away. My mom and dad got divorced when I was really young, so I lived with my dad, and my mom had moved many times. So she'd lived in Cape Town, she moved to Saudi Arabia, and then she moved back to Pretoria to be close to me and my sister. I think she had been living in Pretoria, which is really close to where I live in Joburg. So I think she'd been living there for about a year, maybe 2 years before she died. And the day she died, I went to the garage because there was a bunch of photos that my sister had cut up when my parents had gotten divorced, and all of my mom's side of the photos were in the garage, and I was looking for these photos because I just wanted to see her. Even though we did have a lot of pictures, I just specifically wanted to see those wedding photos. And I was rummaging through the garage, and then I found my sister's Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. I sat down on that dirty, cold garage floor. Very clearly remember finishing it and telling my dad that I needed to go and get the next books immediately, and he said I can walk. So it took me 3 hours to walk to the bookshop and back, and I came home with all of the Harry Potter books, and they're really heavy. So I just imagine this 16-year-old girl literally walking just to go get 6 of the 7 Harry Potter books because I only had the first one. I think I spent the next month and a half reading Harry Potter. It really helped me deal with my grief. I do not support J.K. Rowling in any of her transphobic nonsense, but Harry Potter did help me through that time and get me through my grief and help me understand a lot of my feelings. I think that answers that very deep question. Sorry, we're getting deep here. Like I said, I haven't really opened up on this channel, so why not open up now? Perfect opportunity. The next question is, what questions would you ask your favorite booktuber? And I have a couple. Jessie from Bow Ties and Books, Jessie the Reader. Emma Books was actually the first booktuber I ever watched. Also, This Story Ain't Over. Those are my basic favorites. I don't know. I have no idea what I would ask them. I think I just thank them all for being the reason why I started my booktube channel, because I don't think I would actually have my booktube channel, and I don't think I would have read most of the books that I've read to date. So I would just thank them for recommending all the books I love. The next question is, what challenges do you think will be the hardest to overcome? So I'm open when people ask me questions, but obviously booktube is not that kind of platform. Choosing to be open without anyone prompting the questions for me to be open is kind of difficult for me. Also, I have a problem with eye contact. I do not keep eye contact long with people in general because I have a very short attention span. So even if I'm having a full-length conversation with someone, it takes a lot for me to concentrate on looking them directly in the eye, and I have the exact same problem when it comes to looking at the camera in the lens. And I think the last challenge that I have sort of overcome, but am slowly overcoming, is my speech patterns. I have a lisp. When I think too fast, I repeat words several times, and I say certain words way too much. These are all things that I've really needed to be mindful of whilst I'm doing this. The 8th question is, when did I start reading? And I did not pick up a book until I was 12 years old. Point blank refused to read. I was determined to not pick books up. My sister lent me New Moon. I didn't even read Twilight, and I read it so quickly, and then I asked my dad if I could go get more books, and he told me only when you read all the books you already have. I only had 2 other books, so it was fine, but I read them, and even though the one was My Secret Unicorn because he was really trying to punish me for not reading all of those years. So I read, at 12 years old, I read My Secret Unicorn because I had it on my bookshelf. And then I read another one called I Tell You I Love You, But Then I'd Have to Kill You. And it is basically this spy academy for girls. It is awesome. I loved it so much. And that was when I first started reading. Like I said earlier, I did not read consistently. I read maybe once a year maximum. Sometimes I wouldn't even read in an entire year. I just refused to love books. I don't know why, but I was so stubborn about it. And then when I was 16, obviously I picked up that Harry Potter book, and that was where my falling in love montage started. The 9th question is, where do you read? And I read on my bed, my comfy spot. That's it. And then the last question is, what kinds of books do you like to read? I am a heavy young adult fantasy reader. I will probably read a magical realism or a paranormal fantasy if I feel like it. I will also pick up an adult fantasy every now and then, but rarely. And if you did not notice this, on my bookshelf, I have a lot of contemporary books and I do not read contemporary, even though I have so many of them. So I want to make an effort to read more contemporary books, but I'm not going to make any promises. Thank you so much for watching this. Like I said, it's really weird that I'm doing this a year after I started my booktube channel, but guess what? I don't care. I wanted to be comfortable enough in front of the camera in order for me to actually introduce myself the way that I would introduce myself in person. I get really excited when I talk about books, so sometimes I'll speak really fast, other times I will stutter and stumble through sentences, but this is me and I just wanted to say hello. My name is Gizelle and thank you so much for watching this video.